everybody, today I am going to be chatting you through my 8 picks for the WHSmith Zoella book club. Some of you may have absolutely no idea what I am chatting about, so if that's the case, then to cut it very short, I have my own book club exclusive to WHSmith. This means that over the past couple of months I have been reading non-stop. Basically been eating, sleeping, breathing, reading. Lots of you may already know how much I love reading. I have always been a massive bookworm. You can ask my mum. Within the presents I would receive on my birthday as a child, I would always be far more excited for a book, and I always had my nose in a book. And on the few occasions where I've mentioned a book in my favourites videos, you guys have really loved hearing my recommendations. I feel like it gets a conversation started, and I just have to check on Nala because she's chewing something and I have no idea what she's chewing. Oh, hey! I know that a lot of you guys also share my same love of reading, which is why the book club is possibly one of the most exciting things I have done this year, because it means I get to read books and recommend them to you. So I've stuck mainly to the young adult category in the book club, mainly because I really want to influence and inspire a lot of young adults such as yourselves, or maybe not, or maybe you're just like me and you're 26 and you freaking love a YA, because I love young adult fiction. I just want to inspire more kind of young people to want to read, and these days everyone is kind of on their phone, on their tablet, on their laptop, myself included, and I think that's why I really enjoy reading, because I don't know, you're just using your imagination, you're creating these things in your mind. No two people will read the same book and have the same visions, and I just think that that's amazing. And I just feel like there's a lot of things that we could all learn from books, and I don't know, I just want to share my love of books. Picking the books wasn't actually that difficult for me. There was a huge selection, but I went with quite a lot of the books that I had seen you guys recommend, or I'd seen other people talking about, or ones that looked really interesting to me, or had a story that I could relate to in some way. So I think I have narrowed this down to 8 perfect books, and I'm really happy with my choices. After every book I finished reading, I made notes immediately after I'd finished it, and I've just written them all up in this book. I've got like 4 pages of notes. So let's get started. Side note, when I talk about these books, I will not be giving away any spoilers, or at least I will really try not to. So if you're kind of worried about hearing too much about the books, don't worry. First book. I feel like this will come as absolutely no surprise to most of you, but it is All the Bright Places by Jennifer Niven. A lot of you might remember me talking about this last year after I had read it, but I couldn't do a book club without including it, because I think it was possibly one of my favourite books that I read last year, and that is a bold statement to make. This book is a story of 2 people, Violet and Theodore Finch, or Finch as he's also known, both very different characters, both in the same school, both very deeply unhappy. Violet is unhappy because she is mourning her sister who has sadly passed away, and Finch he's just a very complex character with a mental illness. The 2 of them meet, and the story starts with them up on the bell tower of their school, and they are about to jump. And the story follows on from that with them forming a friendship and showing how the 2 very different people can come together and really make a difference in each other's lives. And it is so poignant and amazing, and Jennifer tells the story so well. Her writing is easy to follow, descriptive, you feel as though you're actually there. She also writes about mental illness in a really delicate and sensitive way, and I actually learnt quite a lot from this book too. I feel like Finch is possibly one of my favourite characters from all 8 books. I don't know why, I just felt that he was so complex and I could really picture him, and there was so much about his character that I really warmed to, and had I been Violet in this book, I feel like I would have reacted in exactly the same way. It's definitely more of a modern love story. It's quite a twist on the traditional boy meets girl. It definitely feels a lot more real. I feel like so many people will be able to relate with either Violet or Finch in this story, or even if you know someone who's struggling with suicide or mental illness, I think you will learn a lot from this book. This is definitely a book that tugs on the old heartstrings, and I for sure shed a tear or two. It was the sort of book where after I'd finished it, I kind of sat in silence for a while and I had to kind of take it all in, and it was really like, oh my goodness, like I carried the weight of the book for a while and I really wanted to talk to people about it. I would for sure recommend this to anyone of any age. It's amazing. By the way, all books that I am recommending in this video have exclusive to WHSmith front covers, especially for the book club. So if you're looking at this and you're like, this book's normally blue, why is it purple? If you get it in the book club in WHSmith, they're all different to the original front covers, which I absolutely love, and together they all look amazing and so pretty. So yeah, just worth noting in case you're looking at them like, that's not the book. It is now. Okay, the next book I'm going to be talking about is We Were Liars. This is written by E. Lockhart, and I had chosen this book based on my friend's recommendation. She said it was really good. I believed her and I was like, sounds good to me. I read this, I want to say in one sitting. I can't quite remember. If it wasn't one, it was definitely 2 sittings. Very easy to read. The storyline, see, this one's hard to explain without giving anything away. It's about the privileged Sinclair family who regularly stay on an island that they own, and it's told from the point of view of Katie, who is a kind of spoiled rich teenager, which I feel like a lot of people won't like her character to begin with. She definitely warms on you, and it's basically a tale of friendship, love, betrayal, and very complex family life mixed in with lies and truth and not knowing which is which. Sounds confusing, you just have to read it. I think that this is quite a jaw-dropping story, and I would advise any of you who want to read this not to look at any reviews online and to go in completely blind when reading this, and then it won't be ruined for you. It's unique, it's poetic, and it's extremely gripping. To be honest, it's just one of those books I feel like everyone should read, and then once you've read it, please talk to me about it, because it was one of those ones where it finished, I was like, I need to speak to somebody about this immediately. Next book is Everything, Everything by Nicola Yoon. I read this entire book in one sitting, and even on the front of it, Jennifer Niven has put heart-wrenching. I devoured it in one sitting. That is exactly what I did too. I sat and read this. I didn't get up to use the toilet. I didn't eat. I didn't drink. I just couldn't put this down. It was a complete page-turner. It's about a girl named Maddie who is severely allergic to the world. She hasn't left her house for 17 years. She has only really ever had a close relationship with her mum and her kind of family nurse. And a guy moves in next door called Ollie, another character who I really, really liked, and he wants to try and find a way to get close to her. It is a great story. I really enjoyed this a lot. It's basically a book that explores the extremes that people will go to when they're in love or when they think they're in love, and the story is told so beautifully. Her descriptions are amazing. You feel as though you're there. I also really love the use of communication in here. There are emails back and forth because a lot of their kind of friendship is built online, as she obviously can't leave the house. And you see that, and you see kind of text messages and little notes that she writes and images and things that she sketches, and also little like nuggets of education in there as well, which I really, really like. I also really love the ending of this book, and again, I was left desperately wanting to talk to somebody about this, so I made my friend read it so I could, so I had someone to speak to about it, because it's so flipping good. I really, really enjoyed this. Next up is The Potion Diaries by Amy Allwood. Now, some of you may recognise Amy. She is my editor, but she's also my friend, and she is also an author herself, and this is her novel, Potion Diaries. Totally not biased. Don't go thinking this is unfair. I genuinely love this book, and I really wanted to put it in here because I think that a lot of you will also enjoy it. It's also a little different from all the others because it's a bit more light-hearted and it doesn't have as many kind of more serious issues in it. It feels like you are transporting into a magical world when you read this, and that is why I absolutely loved it. This story, in summary, is about a princess of Nova, and she accidentally poisons herself with a love potion which was meant for somebody else, which in turn means she falls in love with her reflection. The nation call a hunt in order for people to source and find ingredients in order to cure the princess before it's too late. And that is where we follow the main character, Samantha, whose family are known to be hugely respected alchemists. There's a little bit of boy drama, there's a little bit of friend drama, but the thing that I love most about this book is that it feels so magical. It's kind of like old magic meets new magic. It's fantasy, it's kings, it's queens, it's palaces, it's potions, and I really enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. When I'd finished reading it, I was really sad that I didn't live there. I also found some parts of the story to be quite gripping and really nail-biting, like I was sat on the edge of my seat like but yeah, if you love fantasy and you love like that kind of Hunger Games slash kings and queens and potions, I think you'll really like this. Next up is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. So many of you told me to read this book. I really enjoyed this, so thank you so much for recommending it to me, and now I'm going to recommend it to lots of you as well. Story is about two twins, Kath and Ren, both very different in character. Kath is a bit more subdued, a lot more quiet, a little bit more of an introvert, slightly more geeky, loves kind of writing fan fiction and reads books. And then there's her twin sister Ren, who is none of those things and is a lot more outgoing, a lot more feisty, a bit more adventurous. And the two of them go off to college, or uni as we say here, and the whole book is centred around the fact that when they go to college, Ren splits off from Kath, and it focuses on Kath developing as a person rather than an extension of her twin sister. I think Kath is one of those characters that a lot of people will be able to relate to. She has so many different characteristics that even I was like, that is so me. Like, she doesn't like socializing, she doesn't like going to parties, and it's really refreshing kind of seeing her build on herself as a character throughout the book, and I really loved how it ended as well. It touches a lot on twin bonds, which I haven't really read too many books with twins in, and it also touches a little bit on social anxiety as well. I also think this book is really encouraging for aspiring writers. You kind of follow Kath on her writing journey, and you can read the fan fictions that she chooses to write. There's a real literature vibe about this book, and I actually found it to be so inspiring and encouraging, and I think if any of you also love writing, then you will also find that too. I think Rainbow wrote this book beautifully. Again, really poetic, amazing literature, amazing descriptive writing, and also her characters were really amazing. Next up is Billy and Me by the gorgeous Giovanna Fletcher. Now this one I have been desperate to read, so when this was in the huge box of books I could pick from, I grabbed it straight away. The story is about a young woman called Sophie May who works in her local tea shop, where she is introduced to the ever so handsome Billy Buskin, who is a famous actor who is shooting for a movie where she lives. The two of them obviously become closer, and the story follows Sophie as she's kind of thrust into the limelight alongside Billy, and the turmoil that has on their relationship, and all the little hurdles that she has to get over whilst being madly in love with this amazing famous guy. I think because there were so many things in this that I could kind of relate to in a way, and also just little things like her working in her like village tea shop. Like, I grew up in a village, so I instantly pictured this beautiful, tiny, like Pride and Prejudice-esque village, and I loved Sophie May as a character. I think she's one of my favourite female characters across all 8 of these books, because she was so lovable and real and honest and just really relatable, and she was funny and cute, and she wasn't this kind of perfect, ideal woman. I think that's why I was really drawn to her as a character. It's so romantic, it's so dreamy, it has its shocking moments, and it has some really raw, kind of very emotional and a bit heartbreaking moments where you just want to like scoop her up into your arms and give her a big hug. It was feel good, light-hearted, really captivating, and a really easy read. So if any of you want to live the fantasy of dating someone famous through a really adorable character, you will love this book. Next up is The Sky is Everywhere by Jandy Nelson. This story is about Lenny, who is a 17-year-old young girl who has recently lost her older, slightly more fiery, slightly outgoing sister, and you follow her dealing with that grief and her emotions, and it's pretty much a tale of love and loss. I found this book really insightful because, having never lost anybody close to me, which I'm super thankful for, it was really eye-opening, and I felt so sad for this character. You love her character, you love all the strange choices that she makes through grieving and through being so lost within herself, and you follow her through the book as she finds herself again. I think that she captured Lenny's family so well in this, because family obviously play a really important part. When your family has lost someone so close to all of you, it's really interesting to see how that affects the dynamic of the family and how it's affected each of them individually. And I really liked that in this story. The family were a key part as to why I really enjoyed this, I think. Weirdly, I also found myself laughing at parts of this book. There's some really like great humour rolled into this, along with some really heartbreaking, awful parts. And I just think overall it was a really good all-round read. And last, but by no means least, it is Beautiful Broken Things by Sarah Barnard. Now, this book is the most recently finished one for me, and this is a little bit different from the others because this book focuses solely on friendship. At first I was a bit like, no romance. I love romance in a book. Some people don't, I do. The story focuses on the ups and the downs of Caddy and her best friend Rosie's friendship when Rosie makes a new friend called Suzanne, and how that kind of shapes and changes the dynamic between them, and how Suzanne influences the way both girls live their life. This was super easy to read. I loved Caddy. Caddy, I feel like, as a character, had a lot of me in it. I could really identify with her as a character. There were so many things that she does and things she says and the way she behaves in this book. I know I mirror a lot of those behaviours in real life, and it was quite an eye-opener for me when I read this, because I was like, oh, I do that, and wait, I say that sometimes. And it was also really refreshing to read a story about friendship, because pretty much everyone has a friendship, and friendships can be just as intense and just as heartbreaking as a love story. And I think that that's why I really enjoyed this, because I think no matter who you are, you will have had issues with friends or friendship groups, or your best friend making friends with someone else, or issues that might happen with your friend, or things they might be going through. This book also touches a lot on mental health and abuse as well. I just feel like most people will have a relationship with a friend that can be just as upsetting, just as devastating, just as complex, just as meaningful. I also love this book because it's set in Brighton, so all the little bits that she was describing and the places they were and where they were hanging out, I actually can see that. So visually and descriptively, I felt like I was really in this book. I felt like I was really living this book. It was really easy to picture everything that was happening because obviously I live in Brighton, and just kudos for writing a book based in Brighton. And also just a book full of amazing things that I think a lot of people can take away from it. If you want to hear any more about any of the books that I've just mentioned, there will be review videos every 2 weeks over on the WHSmith YouTube and over on their blog as well. WHSmith will also be providing lots and lots of extra content over on all their social media stuff. They've got Twitter takeovers, interviews with authors, book club nights to discuss the books. What else? They've got soundtracks to the different book titles, which I think is amazing. Some short stories, some extra chapters, and there will also be competitions and giveaways because everyone loves a good competition and a good giveaway. I'll leave all the links down below so that you guys know where everything is and no one gets confused. I'm really sorry if this video has rambled on and on and on. I'm really sorry. I find it hard to talk about beauty in a short amount of time, let alone 8 entire books that I have thoroughly enjoyed reading and want to share with you. Let me know in the comments if you are going to be checking out any of those books, if you've already read them, what you think of them, without giving anything away, of course, because that's just spoiling the fun for everyone else. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and as always, let me know any other book recommendations in the comments, anything you've read recently that you absolutely loved that you think I will also like or that other viewers and commenters might also like, and I will see you again very, very soon.